Let's figure out how much money our buyer is going to potentially need for closing costs. We are about to get ready to write an offer for them, and so the offer price is going to be $116,000. They're going to do a USDA loan, and we have this new spreadsheet, and it's got a drop-down arrow here, which lets you choose whatever kind of financing and the down payment. So USDA is 100% financing, and so it will automatically leave the down payment area blank. If you happen to choose uh, conventional 5%, then it automatically drops in the down payment amount for you there. So we're going to do purchase price of $116,000. We can call this Anywhere Street. We can put the seller's last name, Jones, the buyer's last name. We'll make up, these are fictitious names, Smith. Our buyer's going to do, it's a young couple, so they're going to do a $500 upfront deposit. And column J here, this will calculate everything that they're going to have to pay upfront. So you can let your buyer know, hey, here's what you're looking at for upfront costs. Do you have this amount? So in the state contract, it automatically has the seller paying the doc stamps on the deed, and this spreadsheet will calculate that for you. So if you change the price, you can see that the doc stamp amount changes automatically. So it's all preset in the formulas. If my buyer is paying for the survey, then I figured out, they're in a subdivision, approximate cost is going to be $350. If you're not sure, just call the surveying company to verify what it's going to cost. If my buyer is responsible for paying for the termite inspection, that's going to be $125 if it's on a slab. If it happens to be on a crawl space, then it's going to be $175. So you just determine that. Recording to record the cancellation of the deed is $27. The closing fee to the title company is $450. Commission, as the buyer agent, sometimes we don't know what the total commission is, and so this is not such a big deal for us to figure out as the buyer agent. So don't worry so much about the seller column, but I just kind of want to go over and explain both sides to you. In our contract, if we've asked the seller to pay for repairs, whether it be $500 total or if we've asked for $1,000 total, then that amount would go there. Owner's title insurance, if we've checked off in the offer that the seller is paying the owner's title insurance, then that means that that's going to be this fee and the closing fee are going to be on the seller side. The simultaneous issue insurance here, this is lender's coverage, so that is typically around $150. Appraisal fee, that will be an upfront cost of $550, and so that's why we've put it into column J to calculate upfront costs. Intangible tax on the mortgage will automatically be calculated. Doc stamps on the mortgage, recording of the deed, recording of the mortgage. This is an estimate. The county charges per page, so it'll be, it could be a lot less or it could be just a little bit higher. This section here, this is going to be their homeowner's insurance. They are going to have to pay for 1 year upfront, and so you need to get an estimate as soon as you get the feeling that the buyer is interested in a certain property. You want to go ahead and email an insurance agent, email a couple of insurance agents, and ask them for a quote. Email them a copy, the MLS customer full copy, email that to them so they have the address and all the details. They can see if it's a hip roof, if it's a gable roof, and go ahead and ask them if they want a 4-point inspection or a wind mitigation. So that way, you want to know if that's going to make a difference to the insurance company so that when you help the buyer order the home inspection, you can let the home inspector know that we're also going to need a 4-point inspection and a wind mitigation inspection. Home inspection, I've put in $450 here, and that is going to be an upfront cost. some home inspectors will agree to get paid at closing, and so if they do, then I go ahead and remove that from here, and that way it's going to be calculated in the closing costs. If there's any of these fees that are going to be paid, any inspector that agrees to take payment at closing, make sure you let the lender know, because they've got to put that on the closing disclosure. Otherwise, they're not going to allow for that to be on the closing statement at closing. If they haven't, they're the ones that has to disclose all of these fees to the buyers, and so make sure you let them know, if there's anything, any inspection or a home warranty that the buyer is paying for, you need to let them know that. Property tax proration on the seller side, I'm not going to worry about this too much right now. If we've asked the seller to pay for a 1-year home warranty, then we're going to put it on this side. If the seller counters back and says they're not going to pay for it and the buyer still wants it, then we would put it on the buyer's column. So, and that would be a fee that we would have to make sure to let the lender know that the buyer is paying the home warranty, and any inspections that are going to be billed at closing, make sure you let the lender know. Okay, so this spreadsheet kind of auto calculates a lot of things. So for escrow prepayments, it's got prepaid taxes, prepaid insurance, prepaid interest. If your buyer is getting flood zone insurance and you know the cost of that, you would add that in there. But on average, this total area here for escrow payments is about $1,500. And I've put a little red arrow that makes this window pop up here, and it says to confirm it with the lender. So the lender is the one that will calculate the exact amount that they're going to collect for property taxes, for prepaid interest, and for the insurance escrow. So just make sure you confirm that with the lender. Well, you can see that from line 51, we've got a total of $3,540 in total closing costs, which has carried down to here to line 62. The escrow account, that is line 59 right here, carrying down to line 64. So in total, both of these totals come to $5,040. Now it's going to subtract anything that the buyer has paid up front. So we've got $1,675 here on line 67, and that is this amount here. And these are the total for everything that they paid up front. So that would be their home inspection, their appraisal fee, their termite inspection, plus their deposit. So we're going to take that off here, and that lets us know that our buyer is going to need approximately $3,365 to bring to closing. And so this is where you ask the buyer the question, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, are you good with these amounts? Are you good with the $1,675 for upfront fees? And you will explain to them exactly what they're for, and they will say yes or no. And then you will let them know, okay, that means at closing you're going to owe this amount. Do you have that? And they may say yes or no. So if they tell you that they want to ask the seller to pay towards their closing costs, this is kind of how you're figuring out how much you're going to ask. So we can go back up here into the seller column, and line 30 covers a seller concession. So if we ask the seller to pay $3,500 towards the buyer's closing costs, that would have them coming to closing with a negative. So that would mean that they would probably get a little bit of money back at closing and not have to bring much at closing. And just make sure you let your buyer know that yours is just an estimate, that they're going to get better figures from their lender. But we want to be able to kind of figure this out so that we know how much we're going to ask for closing costs. And therefore, if we're asking the seller to pay, we're going to go ahead and write into our offer sellers to contribute $3,500 towards buyer's portion of closing costs, comma, prepaids, comma, inspections, and or escrow items. And there you have it right there. You would write this into your offer in the additional terms section at the time that you're writing the offer before the buyer signs it.